It was supposed to be a special day, my niece's birthday, a rare moment when our entire extended family gathered. The balloons floated lazily in the air, kids ran around the backyard, and the camera crew my parents hired for the perfect family photo set up near the garden arch. I stood off to the side, holding a tray of cupcakes I had baked the night before. No one had asked me to, no one ever asked me for anything, but I always tried to contribute, to show I cared, even if I barely received a second glance. When the photographer called everyone over, my heart fluttered a little. I was finally going to be in the photo, I thought. Maybe this time they'd want me to be part of the memory. But just as I started walking toward the group, Mom waved her hand dismissively like she was swatting a fly. "Not now, honey," she said without even turning her head. "Let the photographer get the main family shot first." The word main cut deeper than she realized. Or maybe she did realize. I waited and waited. Then they took another photo. Then one with just the cousins. Then one with the beautiful ones, as Dad proudly called my sister and her children. I stood there holding a melting cupcake, sweating in my only decent dress, hoping someone would notice me. But the final blow came when my sister, loud enough for everyone to hear, said, "Let's not ruin the picture with extra weight, okay?" Everyone laughed. I froze. My mom didn't correct her. My dad didn't defend me. Even my brother-in-law, who once asked me for career advice when he was unemployed, turned his back like I was nothing more than a blemish on their curated image. That night, I sat in my car outside the venue, hands trembling on the steering wheel. My heart wasn't just broken, it was hollowed out. And as tears ran down my cheeks, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was done. Done shrinking myself to fit their frame. Done swallowing every insult. They thought they could erase me with a smirk and a shutter click. They had no idea who they just humiliated in front of their precious audience. And they had no idea what I was about to do next. I didn't speak to anyone for 2 days after the party. I turned my phone off, ignored messages from people asking for the photos, and didn't even respond when my boss texted me to confirm a big Monday pitch. Not because I was broken, but because I was recalibrating. My entire life had been spent as the family's shadow. I was the big one, the helper, the person who took the photo, never the one in it. And they were right about one thing. I had been invisible. But invisibility has its power. You see, while they laughed at my weight and cropped me out of photos, I had spent years quietly building something they never bothered to ask about. I was the founder of a rapidly growing wellness tech startup, ironically, built around body positivity, real self-care, and mental healing. I'd kept it under wraps, mostly because I knew if my parents found out, they'd try to take credit. Or worse, control. The irony? My company had just secured a major expansion deal, one that would soon turn us into a nationally recognized brand. And the venue they used for that perfect birthday party? It was owned by one of our hospitality partners. I had smiled through it all during the party because I already knew something they didn't. The lease was up for renewal in just a few weeks. And guess who had final say on that? That Monday morning, I walked into my office with a fire I hadn't felt in years. I wore a sleek black power suit and heels that clicked confidently across the marble floors. My assistant handed me a list of pending decisions, but one stood out. Review property expansion deal. Includes venue. Garden Grove Manor. That was the venue. I didn't hesitate. I signed off on acquiring the space and sent a note to the existing management team. The venue would be rebranded under our Wellness Retreat initiative. All future events would require board approval, and family-oriented events would be deprioritized in favor of our mental health and body positivity programming. 3 weeks later, my mom called me, her voice unusually high-pitched. "Sweetheart, we're planning your sister's anniversary gala, at the Garden Grove Manor again. Can you believe it's been a year since little Sophie's birthday? Anyway, your dad said we should book early." I leaned back in my chair. "Oh," I said sweetly. "Garden Grove is under new management." Silence. "I'm sure they'll figure something out," I added. "Though, I don't think they're accepting bookings from people who promote body shaming anymore." The call ended awkwardly. But that was just the start. I started showing up, not at their dinners or photo shoots, but on billboards, podcasts, and interviews. I talked openly about being the family outcast, about how being labeled too fat, too much, and too invisible led me to build something powerful. The world listened, and surprisingly, so did other family members. My cousin Rachel, who'd always struggled with disordered eating, called me in tears after watching one of my interviews. "I never knew," she whispered. "You were always so quiet, so kind, and they just erased you." "I let them," I admitted, "but not anymore." I held wellness workshops at the same venue they used to party in, using the very space where they made me feel like trash to help others rise. I filled it with women who had once felt invisible, erased, mocked, and gave them the mic. One day, my sister showed up. She sat quietly at the back of the room during a session titled Reclaiming Worth After Familial Rejection. She didn't say anything, but I saw her eyes water. She left without a word. I didn't chase her. Later that week, she emailed me. "I'm sorry." But the real apology came months later, when I was invited to a massive entrepreneurship gala as the keynote speaker. My parents had no idea until the day of the event. They were there because my dad's company was a minor sponsor. My mom wore pearls. My dad wore pride. When I stepped on stage, they didn't recognize me at first, not until my name appeared on the giant screen behind me. Their jaws dropped. I didn't falter. I stood tall, looked out over the crowd, and spoke the words they once used against me. Too fat, too loud, too emotional, too invisible. That's what they called me, so I became too powerful to ignore. And the audience rose in a standing ovation. I didn't need revenge. I had outgrown them. That night after the gala, I didn't go to the after party. I took off my heels, slipped into my flats, and drove to the quiet hill where my old childhood house once stood. It had been sold long ago to someone else, but the tree I used to climb as a girl was still there, bent slightly to the left, carved with initials no one remembered but me. I stood there a long while thinking about everything I had carried to reach this place. Every insult swallowed, every tear dried alone, every birthday that felt more like a funeral than a celebration. But it was all different now. I wasn't just the fat sister anymore. I was the founder of a national brand, a speaker people quoted, a face on magazine covers, a voice behind thousands of healing journeys. And still, I was just a girl who once wanted to be seen. That little girl inside me hadn't vanished. She had simply grown into someone stronger. 2 months passed after the gala. My parents didn't reach out. Not out of defiance, but because their silence was all they had left. Until one afternoon, I got a call from my sister again. "Can we meet?" she asked. Not to argue, just to talk. We met at a coffee shop, not the fancy kind my mom would have picked, but a small, quiet one with shelves of old books and a sleepy golden retriever lying near the register. She came alone, no makeup, no filters. Just her. "I'm not here to make excuses," she began, her fingers nervously wrapping around her cup. "I saw you at the gala. I cried the whole drive home. Not because I was angry, because I finally saw it." "Saw what?" I asked gently. "You," she said, her eyes glossy. "The real you. The one I buried behind jokes. The one I let Mom and Dad erase. You were always the strongest one, and I made you feel like the weakest." I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I pulled something out of my bag. A framed photo. The original one from Sophie's birthday party. The one where I had been cropped out. Only this version was different. I had restored myself into the image. Not at the edge, but right in the center. Smiling, glowing, powerful. Her jaw dropped. "You kept it?" she asked, stunned. "I didn't just keep it," I replied. I reclaimed it. We didn't hug, we weren't there yet. But that moment, that was the first real bridge. Later that week, I got a call from the head of a national campaign focused on family healing. They wanted to feature my story, all of it. The rejection, the weight, the invisibility, and the reclamation. I said yes. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. The campaign ad, the one that would go viral across every platform, was launched on the same date my parents had once canceled my birthday. The same day they had once thrown a party for a dog, calling me too old to matter. This time, the spotlight wasn't on a birthday cake or a puppy in a hat. It was on me, walking through the Garden Grove Manor, past the same hall where I had been humiliated, past the same table where no one had saved me a seat. Except this time, every chair had my name on it. And at the end of the ad, one line lit up the screen. You can't erase someone who finally chose to be seen. My parents saw it. The whole world did. My inbox exploded. Messages from strangers, from teachers, from former classmates, even from extended family who once ignored me. But the one message that changed everything came from my mother. I watched it, she wrote. I cried. I hated myself. Then I watched it again and again. I don't know how to ask you to forgive me, but I want to learn. I don't expect you to ever want us back, but if you do, your seat will be waiting. I didn't reply right away. Healing takes time. But the truth was, I had already forgiven them. Not for their sake, but for mine. Because the revenge wasn't in the spotlight or the success. It was in knowing that the girl they once told was too fat for the photo had grown into the woman who owned the camera. And that was the final picture. One they could